Hello and welcome to the Nutmeg on Guardian TV. My name is Solomon Fowowe, and this is a special edition because the Nutmeg has been on break since the suspension of live football across the world due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Quite sad times at this time currently, and we need to stay strong. We need to stay safe. We need to wash our hands. We need to keep social distancing and do all of those things. But how have we been coping, without live football? I know it's not so much when it comes to the balance of things when you're looking at your health, but some people to still have to keep themselves sane. You'd want to say, we have this football thing wedded into our lifestyles. Yes, but one of the things that has been really interesting of social media has been the Appie challenge with that's toilet paper. That's the toilet paper challenge, and we compiled the very best ones for you. Just take a watch and tell us the one that you enjoy the most.
Oh. ¿Está
So let us know in the comment section the one that you enjoyed the most. I think personally I liked Akim Mastozone. It was quite brilliant, you would want to say. And to COVID-19 updates and news across the world when it comes to football. Guardiola, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo have contributed to the fight in their different capacities in the fight against COVID-19. And it's quite interesting to see people really give their all to make sure that the world is a better place. And also it brings us to this point where it's tricky times at this sort of period, where footballers are down weekly wages and clubs on the other side, where they have to find a balance on how they are going to be paying the weekly wages of footballers at this time. Barcelona has come out to say that they could be slashing as much as 70% of the salaries of their staff, both the players and the staff. And well, they've not come to an agreement with the players yet, but it's quite interesting because you're looking at the fact that these club sides do not have much the revenues coming in, and some of them will not be able to balance things out, trying to pay their players. Birmingham came to say that they're going to be reducing by I think 50% the salaries of players that are earning more than £6,000, while Leeds and their players they've come to an agreement to defer that's the payment of both their players, the coaching staff too. And it's quite interesting for you to see players and the club management come to these sort of decisions. But it has not been all rosy like that, because in Sion in Switzerland now, the club actually sacked Alexander Song and Johan Joru for not agreeing to terms that was set by Sion, that's the Switzerland side, that they wanted to reduce the payment of the top players, that's the wages of the top players at the club. But well, there's also a similar issue at Dynamo Zagreb in Croatia, and that one was actually quite interesting because they were talking about cutting their salaries into three. A third was going to be paid, the second third was going to be deferred, while the third part of their salaries was going to be cancelled entirely. And players are not really taking so kindly to that. But it's really tricky, the way these things can actually be faced, how it can be tackled, with players wanting to get their salaries because they're signed to contracts, and the club management themselves not wanting to go under, not wanting to overspend since they're not getting so much of a profit at this sort of time. So it's a little tricky, and FIFPro has come out to say, okay, they understand that it's peculiar for different club sides, it's peculiar for different teams across the world. So we just hope that these things move as fast as possible. We hope that the pandemic itself, we overwhelm it, we beat it in this fight, and football returns back to us. And moving on to even more cherry news in Nigeria, Eyimba midfielder Dayo Joe and Abia Comets player, that's Benjamin Iluyomade, they've been found finally after they were kidnapped by obviously kidnappers on the road. Yeah, they were traveling down to their houses during this period where football was also stopped in Nigeria. That's the Nigerian Professional Football League, and they were kidnapped, but they've been released now by the kidnappers, and they are, well, doing very well. And also to another very cheering news, it's Appie Nouri has woken up from his coma. It's almost 3 years, 32 months if I'm correct. And now they say he is communicating in some sort of way. He can't speak yet, he can't walk yet, and but he's able to respond to people by raising eyebrows, by smiling, and by frowning. And I think that's really good news for us to get at this sort of time. This time where the world is battling COVID-19 and this pandemic, and we have that very interesting news and great news of Appie Nouri back to us. We really pray that he gets back to full function. We trust, we believe in miracles actually. So we hope he gets back to full functions. So that's the beats we can take on the Nutmeg today, the special edition. Please make sure you stay safe, wash your hands, carry out social distancing, and if you do not have any business outdoors, please stay indoors, for God's sake. Stay indoors and stay safe. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you should absolutely subscribe, and make sure during your spare time, yes, there's a whole lot of spare time at this time, you binge watch shows, previous shows of the Nutmeg. I think it's quite interesting for you to do that. Thank you so much for watching once again. My name is Solomon Fowowe, and have for yourself a safe and wonderful time.